Hi, salam alaikum. I want to welcome everybody to another episode of Zoom In on the Halal Metropolis. We're here today talking to Dr. Diana Abouali, who's the director of the Arab American National Museum, about how this coronavirus epoch that we're living through is affecting the work that they're doing at the Arab American National Museum. Hi, Diana. How are you doing?
Good. Sally, how are you?
We're good. We're coping.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell me how you're doing personally?
I'm doing okay. I'm fine. I can't complain. We've moved to remote work about a month ago. We closed March 13th. So I was going into the office regularly until about 2 weeks ago. I sort of stopped and just go in once to sign something. So I've been, at home, trying to keep a routine, kind of keep some structure, trying not to go batty and crazy. Picked up a few new skills, hobbies along the way to keep myself
cooking a lot more,
but eating a lot more cheese sandwiches than I usually do. But I started doing Arabic bread, and that's sort of something that I've always been hesitant to try, and I finally took the step.
Wow.
And did it, and that was fun, and yeah.
Well, my last time to campus, I stopped by several of the bakeries in Dearborn and stocked up. That was like the one thing I knew I couldn't live without but it's exhausted already, so maybe I should borrow your recipe. Well, so how are things going at the museum? What are you guys doing? I know you had so many events planned for the spring and summer. What is happening there?
So as like I said, we've been closed to the public for about a month. And as a result, we've had to sort of pivot or shift to online programming. And, we do have an online presence. We had one before, on social media. We have a website, but we really had to kind of be a little more innovative and creative and try to do as much of our programming as we can online to sort of keep connected with our audiences, but also to provide them with, some sort of outlet, something to do, something interesting, and also to connect with educators and parents, because we've got some educational resources available. So the team has been really, really great about kind of stepping up and being very flexible, and either moving what we were going to do. Like, for instance, we were set to open the exhibition Soft Powers by Yasmin Diaz. She was our artist in residence resident in March.
Mm-hmm.
And the exhibition is completed, but of course there's no opening on the 28th. There was none, but we have been able to go in. The curator of exhibits, Elizabeth Barrett Sullivan, went in. A video was taken. It was sent to Yasmin. She's done some commentary. I don't know the exact details, but it's going to be aired tomorrow, Saturday, April 11th.
Great.
So so please, look out for that. And so that's what we've been doing. We can't hold something in-house in person, but we've somehow managed to make it accessible to people as much as possible. And it's forced us to be creative and innovative and do things we haven't done before. One of the things is, it's Arab American Heritage Month this April. We can't do anything at the museum, of course, but we reached out to chefs in Metro Detroit, elsewhere. And earlier this week, yes, on Tuesday, we had the first of a kind of Yalla Eat, cooking series. We had Amjad Al-Hussein, who's Yemeni American. I believe she's based in DC, and she cooked a yummy dish online. It was live, but it's also available as a story now. So that's something we've never done before, at least as far as I can remember, as far as I know. I've only been here about a year. Oh no, I've been here for a year. And but this is, so it's been a challenge, but also really rewarding to see how much we can do digitally and online and virtually, even though it isn't something that we've been kind of really pushing before. This has forced us to kind of step back, re-strategize, and move ahead.
Yeah, hopefully it'll help you reach. I mean, I know that you define yourself nationally and you do programming all across the country, collaboratively with other institutions, but I think that this might actually really help you really expand your audience for your programming nationally. Yeah, we're having the same problem because I'm speaking to you as a part of the Halal Metropolis project, and our exhibit is in our library right now where the doors have been shut for over a month. So yeah, we feel this, and our installations for the summer have been, canceled or postponed. So we're trying to do the same thing, make meaning for ourselves as a community, as a collaborative partnership, and also hopefully make meaningful programming for the public. So this interview is a part of that. So how about Access? I know that you guys are part of this much bigger service organization, and I see that Access has been really, really busy in this period too, not always online. Can you tell me more about what Access is doing?
Yeah, so as you said, we're part of Access. The museum is a national institution of Access. Access is a health and human services agency. They provide, multiple programs for the community, Arab American and non-Arab American. They serve everybody. So since this pandemic and this crisis started, there's two programs that have been really, I think, impactful and very important. One of them is they've been doing COVID-19 testing. Of course, we provide health services. This is on Schaefer Road, and they provided COVID testing to healthcare workers. This is done twice a week for about 5 to 6 hours, from 1 to 6 p.m. I think Tuesdays and Thursdays, if I'm correct. You can get the information on the Access website, and this is for healthcare workers to sort of alleviate some of the pressures on the hospitals and emergency rooms themselves. So if a healthcare worker feels like they need to be tested, they can come to us, and that way the kind of the public can go to the ER and sort of lessen the pressure and the impact on them. The other thing we're doing and is meal distribution for children. Access has a youth and education program, and they provide after school activities, and they used to provide dinners to the children, to the students who came. So they wanted to continue with that. There are 3 distribution centers, and the Arab American National Museum is one of those 3. So we provide meals to anybody ages 18 and younger. They can come, and I think the parents have to come. It's a drive-by. You tell the volunteers, the staff, how many children you have, and they will give you meals according to that number. Now it's down to 3 days a week: Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So you can pick up 2 meals per child on Mondays, 2 meals per child on Wednesdays, and 1 meal on Friday. Today, of course, it's Good Friday. We're not offering it, but yesterday was sort of to substitute for today.
Yeah, I've seen that the East Dearborn in particular has a lot of families that are on the school lunch program, the federal school lunch program, which means there's real need in that community. And we also know that with so many entrepreneurs in the Arab American community, people are really being affected by the stay-at-home rules very significantly. So I'm glad to hear you're offering those services.
Yeah, and I have to say a lot of, I'm not directly involved with the testing, but a lot of, Dearborn establishments, businesses have also helped out by providing meals for the staff there who are manning, who are doing the testing. And so there's been a lot of solidarity with each other, which has been very nice. And I think it's, the community has really come together. And I see that also here at the museum with our staff. They've really come together and have sort of, we're a small team, and we're always, collaborating. But I think their ability to do it offline has really sort of, showed me how, when we're under these kind of stressors and we're forced to kind of, when things force us to test our strength and our weaknesses, these things actually enable us to kind of, it can make or break us, I think, but I think it's really forcing us to do some great work.
That's great to hear. Yeah, I feel like I feel exactly the same way about the team I work with, and I agree with what you're saying. We're really watching all the things that are happening in Dearborn online and throughout the metro area, really, where people are coming together and providing support for people who've lost their incomes. The community is very involved in trying to make sure that there are no water shutoffs, that there are no people get evicted from their homes, and all of these things. So it's a caring, generous community, and we're really seeing that right now. And also, I think as we look toward Ramadan, You know, people are feeling this real sense of loss and disappointment that
Yeah.
they're not going to be able to celebrate the Ramadan in a collective way like they're used to. The Suhoor Fest has been canceled. A lot of other events have been canceled. But what I'm hearing from people is they're trying to find ways to still, you know, still be communal as much as they can, sharing food back and forth within families. And also to just maybe have a more thoughtful, reflective Ramadan this year, you know, as opposed to going out and being in public, staying home and reading the Quran and reflecting in that way.
Yeah. No, I think so. I think we're going to have a different kind of Ramadan this year for those who are celebrating. And I think, you know, I think there's going to be different ways for us to find social cohesion. And I think the museum is going to play a part in that. I'm sure, you know, your programming is also going to help. You know, it's a way, you know, all this, I'm really thankful that we have all this digital technology, although it can be a bane to our existence because you know, it can, you know, we're on all the time, but I think it's really helped to solidify social cohesion. And, you know, one thing that we're doing at the museum, you know, in addition to the programming that we have online, the film streaming that, you know, we can all watch together films and we're going to do chat groups where people can come in. You know, we're going to have an open mic later this month, I believe actually next week. But one more thing we're doing is we're doing a call similar to what you guys are doing with Halal Metropolis to ask people to send us their stories. You know, for us, let's document this crisis, you know, as difficult as it's been. You know, there are interesting stories of resilience in this crisis, and we want to hear how Arab Americans are dealing with it. I mean, I was going to, you know, submit one about my bread baking, which reminds me of my mother, you know, who immigrated to Canada in the early 70s, where there was no Arabic bread available anywhere, and she was forced to start baking. So it's made me think of being an immigrant and the child of immigrants, and, you know, coming back to the US. And so I think it's a way for us to connect and to maybe connect with our past, with our communities. And yeah.
Well, that's I think that's what we're all trying to do, and I'm so happy that we have the museum that we can rely on.
Thank you.
And we're also trying to document the story. That's the point of these videos. So I thank you for participating with us. I thank the audience for joining us. And I'm going to check out your guided exhibition tour tomorrow night. I encourage other people to go to the museum's website and look at all the exciting programming they're doing.
Great stuff. And we've got also stuff for kids. Naomi Shahab and I just recorded a story that's available on, you know, through our website and on YouTube. So lots of stuff.
Okay, great. Thank you, Deanna. Assalamu alaikum, everybody.
Bye.